my friends, and welcome back to Player Display. So it is currently, 11:24 in the evening, and I wanted something fun to do, so I decided to do something I haven't done in quite a while, being a PODguy podcast. And all we do here is basically just rank characters, rank movies, just random whatnot. There's really no rules to it. I haven't done it many times, and honestly, only from 2 to 7 people watch these. I really don't care. I just do these solely for fun. But obviously, if you ever want to see my take on a certain IP or movies or anything, let me know, and I'll happily just do a list for the sake of doing a list. I don't know, it's just kind of fun to vibe and just kind of go off and on about, characters and movies that we enjoy. So I was thinking of, in recent weeks really, about doing like a Batman tier list or something like that, and it came to me that I couldn't really do that because I don't want to watch all the Batman properties. I would be sitting here until I have a very long beard and I am very dead. So what I'm going to do instead is, when I get that McFarlane pack of 6 movie Batman figures, then I'm going to kind of merge that so it's like a review and also a ranking. So I'm going to do something a little weird there. Forgive me. I'm going to do a multiple things very weird there. But anyways, so I decided to not do like an official podcast on that. So I figured, you know what? If something ain't broke, why fix it, right? So since I have a brand new computer, as I've let you guys know about before, check this out. No lag. You can see the mouse moving around all beautiful. You get your infinity symbol that I'm tracing out right there. Really pretty, right? Yeah, the last one, it couldn't track my mouse for shit. It was absolutely god-awful, but now it looks like it's doing everything just fine. So I figured, might as well just do another Star Wars list. Why the hell not? So I saw many lists on there, on the tier list creator, whatever you want to call it, a tier maker, forgive me, which pretty much everyone and their grandmother uses. This one's called the Star Wars Characters 150 plus tier list. I don't know if there are 150 here. I have not counted them, nor have I even looked at every single character here. But firstly, I have a pretty strong library of knowledge in my mind about Star Wars. Not just the movies, not just the shows, but like expanded universe, video games, a little bit of comics and novels. Not that I necessarily have read every book, have played every game, but this one has a pretty good offer. I just noticed Gonk Droid over there. Alright, that's going to be fun. But anyways, there's a lot of characters here. Of course, we got stuff from the movies and the shows, but also some very niche characters that you may have never even heard of. I see a lot of video game characters here. We're definitely going to go into Knights of the Old Republic territory, which I'm very giddy for. Especially since, spoiler alert, soon enough we are going to be reviewing Bastila Shan and Darth Malik, who just came around in the Gaming Grade Star Wars The Black Series line, and I have them in hand right now, and they are spectacular. So we're going to review those guys eventually. I'm probably going to have a busy weekend. There's a few other videos I want to wrap up. Got some personal things to assess too, but anyways, this list, I think it's just going to be a nice, kind of a quick fire, just a whole lot of random Star Wars characters. It might not even be the perfect comprehensive list. It seems totally random. I don't see any rhythm or pattern to it at all, but I think that's what'll make it fun. And I'm going to be ranking these characters just solely based on preference alone, not how well they were used in the films, not how well or poorly the actors portrayed them, or how cool they looked, or how repulsive they were to look at, because we have characters on all sides of this Star Wars spectrum, right? So I'm just going to go through, as a kid who has grown up with Star Wars since he was, say, 4 or 5, seems about right. This is just how I view these characters. And I did modify the rankings a little bit. There was one more row before. I deleted that one. I didn't find it necessary. And I also revised the tiers, as you could see. So at the very top we have chosen one. So I'm going to do my very best to keep this as, even though I know it says 1, but like the very, very awesome Star Wars characters to me, I'm going to try limiting this to like 3 or 4 characters, and I'm going to do my best not to exceed that, 5 at the most, because, you know, you can have endless fan favorites, right? And there's nothing ever wrong with that. You can enjoy as many characters as you want, even if they're written very badly, or if they are reviled by the greater populace who enjoy Wars, and that's all right. It's these opinions that make these IPs so fascinating. So, anyways, I don't know. Let's just go into it. These are my random, spontaneous thoughts on these characters. So, first character we have is Aayla Secura, who first appeared in Attack of the Clones. Fun fact about her, I think I once heard, I don't remember from where or from who, she was not an original George Lucas creation. She was actually a fan design sent in from a fan, henceforth the term fan design. It was created by a fan. I know, fascinating, right? And apparently George Lucas liked it so much, he implemented Aayla Secura into the films. And then from there on out, Rule 34 has never been quieter. But basically, she appeared in that movie and in Revenge of the Sith, where she had one of the most memorable Jedi death scenes, where she was executed in the infamous Order 66. What was the order of events here? Like, I guess Mace, quote-unquote, died. He could come back. You never know what Disney's going to do. But he died, and I think directly after that, Order 66 began, and I think it cut straight to... No, it was Ki-Adi-Mundi, and then it was Aayla Secura who got shot down, but just to see her get gunned down so quick in cold blood was really shocking, and it really gave you an idea of just how bad this mess of a genocide would be. And like, as you slowly start to realize the gravity of the master manipulator's plans to wreck the Order. So that's what I remember for her most, aside from the fact that she's hot as hell. She was also in the Clone Wars TV show, although I am not as closely attached to that show. For the life of me as a kid, I could not keep with any TV show that had a discernible continuity or like story to it. I always liked the one-off episodes. My attention was just not good. So, and I did revisit, as I said in previous podcasts, like all the shows. I did watch them all to get my best subjective opinions that I could. So, as for Aayla Secura, for me personally, obviously she looks great. Her appearance in Revenge of the Sith, I think, was very impactful for the shock value. So, I'll give her a C tier. That's nothing to be ashamed of. And I forgot to mention Bantha Poodoo. That's reserved specifically for characters who I absolutely despise. F characters, I just don't care. Bantha Poodoo, there's gonna be several in here. I hate him, hate him, hate him. Like, that's pretty much what it's for. But moving on, we have Ahsoka Tano, who you may or may not know. Basically, everyone is, like, the legacy of Tano is very sporadic. Like, she had a very weird beginning. She started off in the Clone Wars movie in, I believe it was 2008, 2006, I can't quite recall. The merchandise was everywhere. All I know is that I did not see the movie in theaters, but I did see it in later walks of life. And that movie was not great, but she, of course, evolved to be the absolute badass that she is here and also in the TV shows, and soon to get her own titular TV show of her very own this coming August, which I am so excited about. I know a lot of people have dropped off the Star Wars radar, but, you know, I'm in it for the fun. I like seeing new characters. I like seeing classic characters like Ahsoka here, who is a bona fide classic by now, evolve over time. And again, there's 150 characters here, so let's try and buzz through these. But Ahsoka, for me, I'd give her a B. Like, I don't think about her as much as I do think about other characters. She's also hot, like Sakura, but she is much more impactful than Sakura ever was. And yeah, I can't wait to see where her journey takes us into the later properties. Now that brings us to Holdo. Where do you think she's gonna wind up? Yeah, she's Bantha Poodoo. It takes a lot for me to absolutely hate a character. She of course appeared in Last Jedi, which I have iterated is my least favorite Star Wars movie of all time. Because, like, a movie, it's one thing for a movie to just be outright bad, and this movie was not bad, is the thing. The fact is, it succeeded at what it was trying to do, and it was trying to effectively shatter the franchise and everything that we understood it to be. And as I said before, it's good for us to be contested and to learn new things and to change the mold a little bit. That movie went too far. That being said, it introduced a lot of fluff that just wasn't necessary, including 3 characters, I'm sure the other 2 will show up later in this list, who it really wanted us to care about, but we just couldn't. And Holdo is emblematic of that running theme in that film. This character was not sympathetic at all. She was only in the film, I think, because she was buddies with Kathleen Kennedy. I'll reserve my opinions for that for maybe never. I think that's just dangerous territory. I go on quite the rant as a result of that, but I hated Holdo's character. Respect to Laura Dern and all that, but I just didn't care. And I hated the fact she was in the film. She didn't need to be there at all. So that's her. Now, sorry, I gotta check my phone because while the video quality of my PC is a lot better, the audio quality is not. So to keep it safe, I'm sticking with the phone to record things. I don't have a mic. I live in an apartment, so cut me some slack. Moving on to Anakin Skywalker. Now, this is a tough one. Do we judge him based on the acting performance of Hayden Christensen, who everyone either loves or hates, or do we judge him based on the idea of Anakin / Vader, who's arguably the greatest character in all of cinema? I'd argue that. I mean, when you strip, like, even if you just get rid of the movies, the story, the tragedy of Anakin is totally fascinating. It is remarkable, I think. So, and really, for me, for everyone, for George Lucas, Anakin defines what Star Wars is. I mean, he's the big deal. Although there is a later iteration of him who I see down here on this list who is just a little bit more important. So, for the sake of him being the precursor for such greater things to come, at least within his chronology, I probably totally butchered that, I apologize. Even though he was in the prequels and Clone Wars, of course. I'll give him an A. I might not love him as much as I love other characters, but he made Star Wars, right? It's such an important milestone, just the idea of Anakin Skywalker. Hayden Christensen, his acting, it fluctuates. Obviously, it hit its peak in Revenge of the Sith. I'd say his 2 greatest moments were in Attack of the Clones, with the whole Tusken Raider debacle with his mom, and then at the tail end of the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, where he really shined his colors. So, honestly, I don't blame his acting at all. I think it was really just a script and George Lucas doing his George Lucas thing. So, I don't blame Hayden whatsoever, personally. So, that allows me to cut him some slack. And he did the best he could. So, I'm fine and all good with him. Asajj Ventress, I'm perpetually bugged by this character. I'm going to give her a D. Only because the only reason why I care about her at all is because her entire people, the Night Sisters of Dathomir, were slaughtered by Grievous, which was kind of a foreshadowing element to what Order 66 would become. And of course there is a character who is far superior to her, I think, a far superior Night Sister, who I did see later in this list, so I will not mention her now, but that later character did a better job at what Asajj was meant to be, who was supposed to be like the last of her kind. And that's the only thing that I really care about with Asajj. Other than that, I feel like she's just the worst assassin in the history of assassins. Every time she tries to go out to kill someone, she over-monologues, she backflips away. It's just all this bravado, but no consequence. I never felt like she was ever a threat. The voice acting was good, I mean, all of that. Her design's pretty cool. She was fun in the micro-series as well, which is not here in this list. We might breeze on that here and there, I'm not too sure. But yeah, I just never had a connection to Ventress much at all. I give her a slight edge because, again, story-wise, kind of a precursor to the more important stuff relating to the Jedi and the Sith. But anyways, Aurra Sing. Another fine addition to my collection. Enough said. But I really like Aurra Sing. She cameoed like for 2 seconds in Phantom Menace, watching the pod race transpire. But she is most pivotal pivotal, at least in canon, concerning Boba Fett's arc. She was a very good foil to him. Boba Fett was still trying to figure out who he was supposed to be, especially in light of his father's death. And she, of course, was a bona fide bounty hunter at that point. So for him, he was trying to figure out, how far should a bounty hunter go in terms of a moral compass, I always get Ayla Secura and Aura Singh's names messed up, but as for Aura, she has no morals at all, totally sadistic, totally out for the money. I just think she's a very good character, underused perhaps in some ways. And then obviously in Legends, she is a lot better. She is a Jedi killer. She has this vendetta against them because I think she holds the Jedi responsible for doing something to her family. I don't remember exactly. Basically every character in Legends is better than as they appear in canon. But anyways, I won't go much more into that because that's as far as my knowledge goes with her, at least in Legends continuity. But I guess the very last thing I'll say about her is the last mention we've heard from her was in the Solo movie where Tobias Beckett took credit for killing her. And I proudly call bullshit because the main theme of that movie is don't trust anyone. So I don't trust that Tobias Beckett killed anyone as tough as Aura Singh at all. I feel like that was a fib. He made that up. Even whether she was alive or not, that was just a fabrication to make himself look good. In my eyes, Aura is still canonically alive. So, I just think she's a really fun character. And I love my scum and villainy. I say I'll put her certainly above Ayla Secura. Not above Ahsoka, though. A lot of A's for female characters. Interesting. Yeah, right? Like what? We got Ahsoka, Ayla, Asajj, then Aura. I just noticed that. Interesting. I don't know. Maybe the person who compiled this list. Then Amilyn. Oh, this list is in alphabetical order. Okay, I'm learning things today. But anyways, yeah. I'd say I'd put her below Ahsoka. Yeah, the way that they are ranked within their rows will be significant, or at least I'm going to do my best. And then next up we have, we've got Babu Frick, who I absolutely adore. Again, the movie is terrible. I'd argue it is the worst Star Wars movie ever made, just because it had absolutely no mission, but Babu Frick was a lot of fun. I enjoyed the crap out of him. I loved seeing his, what was his species name? It was something with an A, funnily enough. But yeah, I really liked just comedic relief. I thought he was really cute character design, perfectly uncanny, and I liked how he wasn't overused like Jar Jar or other comedic relief characters would have been. This was a case of successful comedic relief. Not overdone, catchy as hell, and he didn't have like a huge bearing on the story, so it was okay to just enjoy him in passing, So I'll give him... Wow, I'm actually putting him against a Jedi. Interesting. I guess... I don't know, they're kind of on equal footing. One's more comedic, one's just, I think they're cool. I guess I have more nostalgia for Babu Frick. Just because he has the power of a running joke, I'll drop him in high C for now. Now we have Grogu, the child. I say one of the best additions to the Star Wars Pantheon in a while. So, as of recording this, Star Wars Mandalorian Season 3, has concluded, and I'm really hoping that we see a lot more from him. He's a very great character. I would just love to see what's going on in his little mind. I'd love to learn a lot more about his past. There's still a lot of gaps. Like, one thing that's never addressed in the show is how did he wind up in the custody of those Nikto pirates when the Mandalorian first found him in episode 1 all the way back then. We still don't know how he got there, correct me if I'm wrong. So there's a lot more that I'd like to learn about him. I don't think he's ever overstayed his welcome. He's had comedic moments, but never overdone, I don't think. I think well-timed, then very well balanced out with very tragic moments with like Order 66 and all of that. And there's just so much to learn about him. I think there's great potential. I hope they don't overuse him like they do with Darth Maul and some other characters. But as he stands right now, I think he's great. And I think he represents a potential future for Star Wars. I know it's very nebulous right now, but he is definitely one of the light spots. I really love the character of Grogu. Perhaps I wouldn't put him as high as his father. That's a whole other discussion. But, yeah, I think I might put him... Again, this is just on preference alone. I think I'll put him above Ahsoka. And I think I'll put him above Anakin. Yeah, just based on preference, Grogu is stronger in the movies than Hayden Christensen was, overall, for me anyways. To me, the story of Grogu was more impactful than the story of Anakin in the movies. If we're talking about just concept-wise, then yeah, Anakin wins. But for me, personally, I think Grogu succeeds. Barriss Offee, she appeared in the prequels, and then she played a much more pivotal role in the Clone Wars animated show, and she was very, very important to Ahsoka, of course, as many of us know. For those of you who don't know, again, I like to assume people watching this, maybe they don't know everything there is to know about Star Wars. She was a Jedi gone bad. She was a very loyal Padawan to Luminara. Then she kind of made a turn for the worst. She became a terrorist, committed bombings on the temple. Ahsoka was blamed, almost sentenced to death. And then when Anakin went so far out of his way to uncover the truth that Barriss was the terrorist, Ahsoka was absolved, but as a result of getting that death sentence, she left the Jedi. So Barriss is extremely important to Ahsoka's arc, and as an audience, our understanding of the Jedi are not always what they're cut out to be. They're not always good people. So she's very important. Is she a very personal character to me, though? I respect this character more than Asajj, certainly. So I'll slot her above... sorry, I'm getting all my A's confused. Aayla Secura, just because... I wouldn't say I think about her more, but I think she's a better character, and just solely based on that. And Babu Frick, I just find him hilarious as hell, so he stays. Next we have the B-1 battle droids. Okay, I assume it's not. Is it talking about the faction, like the CIS, the Confederacy of Independent Systems, or is it just talking about the bumbling B-1 battle droids? I'm just gonna assume that it's based on the garrison. It's based on the droids themselves. They're cannon fodder. That's why they exist. They're stupid as hell. Yeah. Now this is a case of, I think the comedy verges a little too far most oftentimes. There are exceptions. There are times where it does work. Like, he's not going to be here, but I really like the character Roger in the Lego Freemaker Adventures. I thought he was very good, but that's like a whole other universe, so things are supposed to be totally over the top and out of whack. But in the movies and in the Clone Wars show, I do find them a little irritable. I love their design, though. I think they're really cool. But they kind of suck at everything. But not to the point for me where it becomes like a running joke. But they're cool, I guess. They serve their purpose. Yeah, and they're not... And they have no poetry to them. They don't rhyme, right? So I'll put them below Asajj. But I do love droid designs, so I'll put them above F. That's fine. Baze Malbus, who was once the wisest guardian of us all, and I think he is sorely underrated. I think he could have been executed better in Rogue One. Certainly, he could have had a lot more story to him. But the little he got, I think it worked. I mean, you had this man who just totally fell out of faith. He was no longer interested in the Force or anything. And then it took the death of his friend for the briefest of moments to kind of rediscover his faith, learn what was important. And it wasn't necessarily the mysticism of the Force or the beauty of the galaxy. It was simply the connection of him and his friends, who he knew in that brief frame of time. So that was a really precious moment in it of itself, I think. So, where would I drop him? I'd say I appreciate him more... Alright, I appreciate him more than Babu Frick. I'm going to stop giving him so much credit for being a running joke. Yeah, I'll put him above Babu. That seems correct, so put him in C tier. BB-8, really cute droid. His model kit was very fun to build, too. I can't say I think about him a whole ton. Obviously, I prefer R2 more. Very cute. very instrumental to the movies. I mean, regardless of where the hell the plot was going. He's fine. He's just alright. So, and the fact that I have no more to say about him in this very moment, I'll put him in Lucy. I mean, it's that simple. Like, if I see a character, I don't immediately have things to say about them, then it's fair to say that if I instinctively think they belong in a certain row for my preferences, then it's probably the right place to put them, right? Then we have Bib Fortuna, Ewanawanga, right? And that's enough for me to give him a C tier, probably. And running jokes are fine. So, you know what? I like my Scum and Villainy. Although BB-8 does have the little thumbs up. And for me, that's my favorite moment with him. That was my first guffaw seeing a Star Wars film in the theaters. That was a really good laugh. Alright, we'll put Bib Fortuna below BB-8 just because of the thumbs up. Literally, that's it. Boba Fett. Now, which type of Boba Fett are we talking about is the thing. I mean, again, I love Scum and Villainy. That's how I categorize them. I love the bounty hunters. I love the assassins. I love the aliens. I love the civilians more than I love the Jedi and Sith overall. Or any of the political factions or warring factions. I always love the people who are just on their own. They have their own creed and their own perspectives. And Boba Fett is kind of the height of that, really, no matter what interpretation you prefer. I mean, there's really no specifics I need to discuss here. I mean, I think his story is very good in canon and in Legends. I mean, pick and choose your favorite. It does get a little wishy-washy in the Book of Boba Fett show. Like, I will be honest to say that. But the idea of Boba Fett persists over everything. So, I definitely like him more than Anakin. I definitely like him more than Grogu. But I wouldn't say he is quite a chosen one for me. Because there are so many iterations of him, it's hard to pin him down. Like, do you prefer him be very mute and quiet and mysterious like he was in Empire? Or do you prefer that we get all the depth that we do get from him after that? I mean, so it's tough to say, but he is one of the greatest bounty hunters ever. Or at least one of the greatest and most recognizable Star Wars characters in the entire IP, right? So he's a really big deal. Bodhi Rook, again, I have a very big soft spot for Rogue One, and I shouldn't even say soft spot, because that would imply it's something that shouldn't be that good, that I do have a little bit of a silver lining in. But I think the entire thing is great. I love Rogue One a lot. And, you know what? Maybe Bodhi Rook... I think I'm going to put him below Baze Malbus, because Baze, at least you see his arc occur. For Bodhi, though, it's kind of already happened. He's already defected from the Imperials in Rogue One. By the time you meet him, he's already a whistleblower is the thing. And his arc from here on out is kind of just, you know, he's jittery, he's a coward and all that. And then he dies for the cause like everyone else does in the movie. But I wouldn't say he had, like, a turning point, necessarily, but that doesn't take away from his performance. I love the actor, I love the character, but I definitely don't love him as much as I love Baze in that, and they're, like, when comparing their final moments, Baze is superior, I think. But, yeah, alright, he's better than Babu Frick. So we'll put him, there we go, right there. And then we have a guy, we have Boss Nass. He's amusing for a minute, and then that's kind of all. And I don't care for the character design much at all, so I'll give him an F. He's fun in the Lego game, just as an ironic thing, but that's about all. Bosk. Growing up, Bosk was my dude. I loved playing Lego Star Wars, the complete saga. Bosk was always my favorite go-to character, my favorite bounty hunter in the entire roster, my favorite character in the entire game. I have the Sideshow Collectibles figure of him. I love the shit out of Bosk, man. I adore him so much. I think he was severely underplayed, underutilized in the Clone Wars show, and they should have definitely used him in the Book of Boba Fett show. He screams missed potential, like as much as Zuckuss and Forlom in that classic bounty hunter lineup in Empire. So, again, I know he's not nearly as developed as a lot of the characters up here, but he informed me a great deal, so I'm driving him right up to Chosen One. He's... It's a soft spot for me. I love Bosk, man. I want him back. just in some form in live action with great practical effects and all that. No CGI for Bosk, please. Never CGI for Bosk. Don't do it. I love this Bosk, not the Clone Wars one. I hated that look. This is the Bosk I choose to remember. 3PO. I love 3PO. Of course, we hate 3PO, but it's for the right reasons. He's everyone's punching bag in all 3 trilogies and beyond that, right? But I don't know, there's always this whimsy of him. He's kind of narrating what's going on. Like, if you really watch the movies closely, he's expositing. He's the storyteller within the films, right? Like, he's saying what's going on. Like, look, there's Han Solo. He's frozen in carbonite, you know? And for me, it's kind of endearing. Like, he's explaining the films for the kids, you know, who are trying to piece the plot together. I definitely needed that as a kid, because I always got lost in Spacey watching another pun, damn it. We're talking about Star Wars, they say Spacey. But anyways, I like his character. I think he always serves his purpose. He could be underutilized for sure, but he definitely works where he needs to work. I think he was at his absolute worst in Rise of Skywalker, because like, everything he did that was so important in that film got totally undone when R2 kind of just backed up his memory. I thought that was really dumb. What I was hoping they would do with him is there would still be that Sith stuff going on in his head, and rather than that just being wiped out, he has like a dual personality. Like, that's kind of what the promo art with him holding Chewie's bowcaster inferred to me. I thought he was gonna have like a kill switch. Like, if there's a threat that shows up, suddenly the red eyes would turn on, and then the bowcaster would come out, and he just laid waste. That would have been awesome. Like, come on, that film had so many chances to be, like we knew it was gonna be totally stupid from the initial trailers, but at least it could have had so much more fun, and he was a missed opportunity there. But anyways, that's such a little pocket. But, let's see, where am I gonna drop him? Definitely above Bib. Yeah, above Babu. I wouldn't. Yeah, he's a legacy character is the thing, right? He's been there. He was the first character we ever met. Well, him and R2, really. Damn. I don't think I'd put him as high as, again, the concept of Anakin, not as much Hayden Christensen. I wouldn't put him as high as the... Alright, you know, we'll give him... I'll put him above Aurra Sing. But, yeah, so much goes on with Ahsoka, I can't put him over her. So, yeah, B tier's fine. I love Cad Bane. And my favorite iteration of Cad Bane is the No Country for Old Man version that we got in Book of Boba Fett. I think, aside from those 2 Mandalorian episodes, the presentation of Cad Bane was so great. It sucked that he was, quote-unquote, killed off so quickly, because just what they did with the score for him, he felt very ghostly. Like, he's the scariest bounty hunter we've ever seen. Like, Boba Fett, he is the idealized classic bounty hunter, but for Cad Bane, he is the gritty, spooky, no compromise bounty hunter. Like, he's like the Force ghost of bounty hunters. Like, he's as bad as they get. He's abducted children. He slaughtered innocent people. Like, all this in the means, just in the name of credits, just the money. He's an absolute scumbag, and I adore him. He doesn't quite hit the same nostalgia as Bosk does for me. Again, me and Bosk, we go a long way back, but wow, I really love Cad Bane, and again, I love Scum and Villainy, so he's gonna be up there. But not... I'd say I enjoy him more than Ahsoka. The concept of Cad Bane I prefer more, but the concept of Anakin is certainly stronger, so I'll put him below him. I know things are going to be a little inconsistent. Forgive me there. Now we go on to Phasma. Definitely underutilized. And that can be said about a lot of characters in the new wave Star Wars era, I suppose you could call it. Basically anything under the Disney banner, from Force Awakens onwards, is certainly up for question. Prequels too, I mean, but... I love the idea. I love the story of Phasma that we didn't get at all in the films. Like, I think it's really cool trivia that her armor is built from the hull of Brendol Husk's ship. I think that's really neat. And she kind of grew up on this very gladiator, barbaric planet, kind of. So, and that's the thing about a lot of Star Wars characters. It's less so how we see them in their respective properties, but more so what we learn about them after the fact. Like, that's a weird thing about the Star Wars universe, I think, is that we love them for the idea of who they're supposed to be, not necessarily for how they're presented. So where do I put her? Because she was certainly wasted. But the few times she was on screen, she was very cool. She definitely had a lot of presence. Damn. I'd put her higher than Babu, but damn. Alright. I like her armor, so you know what? We'll give her a low B. How about that? Again, I'm just spitballing here. I'm not I'm not going through this with a fine-tooth comb. I think she looks really cool. I like her story. I like her presence. I like her portrayal. I just don't like how she was used in the films. And that's really my only critique of the character, honestly. Captain Rex. I know people adore him. I'm a Captain Fordo guy, and that's okay. But yeah, he is the clone trooper. There's no denying that. Like, for me, there's two types of clone troopers. There's the Legends troopers and there's the canon troopers. I prefer the Legends troopers, where there is no microchip. Order 66 occurred because they were that hardwired in their training to turn on the Jedi that they trusted most. And then they had that moral quandary as to whether or not to do it. But as for Rex, aside from the chip, he was always morally upright. He was always the good guy. He was always on the right side of things, no matter what was going on with Order 66 or the Jedi or the Sith or anything. He was always great. He was always a good hero to rely on. But personally, I never really found myself connecting to him a ton because of that. Like, he was always there. He was always cool. But he never did a ton for me. So, but I'd put him above BB-8. Put him above... I would not put him above Barriss. I don't know why I'm using Ayla as my middle ground. Not high ground, sorry. Too many running jokes here. I guess it's because she's the first character we dropped on here, and she conveniently dropped right into C. So, you know what? I'd put him... I guess below C? Below Ayla? I really don't know. Alright, you know what? I'll put him above just because on the fact that he is more important to Star Wars than Ayla is, for sure. Cara Dune, one of the most controversial Star Wars actors. I'm not even going to talk about that because I hate the political machine, I hate the Disney machine. We're not going to go any further than that. But the character of Cara Dune, I thought she was pretty cool. I liked her. I like that even though she had to be written out for reasons that we won't discuss, there's no point. I thought that she ended on a good note. Like, she was a former, like, rebel drop trooper or something like that. And then she kind of found her place again in the New Republic. Then I'd assume perhaps she'd go on to be part of the Resistance. She was a cool female character. I liked her. She was really neat. She was a good temporary foe of Mando for those brief seconds. And then Grogu came in with the soup, the bone broth. But, yeah, she was solid. That's kind of it, though. But she definitely had more to do than Ayla ever did. Certainly, but Rex definitely had more to do. So, yeah, alright. Sometimes I'm going to have to break it down to just objectivity. Like for Rex and Cara and Ayla, I really don't feel much ways of them either way. So, that seems about right for me, just in terms of preference. Andor, he kind of has a cheating card with him because he has an entire show devoted to him, right? So we learned a lot more about him beyond Rogue One. So obviously he's going to be above Baze and Bodhi. I mean, it's kind of default, right? Yeah, the show gives him a lot more. In Rogue One, he was great too. He was strictly following orders, and then Jyn Erso pointed out, you're basically a stormtrooper. And that kind of sunk in with him, and then eventually kind of learned to spare a life being Jin's father, and then she was able to have that last moment with him, and I assume that resonated with Cassian in his last moments. So, I mean, I think about Phasma more, just because I think I like the bad guys a lot more. So, goddamn. he has to be greater than C tier, just objectively speaking. So, I'll put him below Phasma. Again, don't take things too seriously. I'm just spitballing here. Palpatine. The Senate, the end of all things. The guy who keeps returning. Oh, man. The do-it man. There's so much about him, right? He's a great character. Ian McDiarmid, no matter what movie or show he's in, he's always great. He always does his part. He's another legacy character. He was kind of there since the beginning. He's always great. Even if he's stuck in a stupid story, aka Rise of Skywalker, he does his job, and he always has the magnitude that the Emperor should. I hope you guys are doing something fun, because this has taken some thought and some time. But I'm sure once we get into the characters I just don't care about, things will move a little bit faster. But we're hitting some pretty high tiers here. So, definitely better than Andor, better than all these folks. I think of Palpatine more than Ahsoka, but definitely not, alright, so you know what? Low A. How about that? Alright, now I'm going to try moving through a little faster, unless I seriously have more to say about a character. Who doesn't love Chewie? I feel like he never contributes to the plot enough, but it's friggin' Chewbacca. How are you gonna say no to Chewie, right? So, definitely care about him more than these C tiers here, more than Andor, maybe not as much as Phasma though. Again, I love the idea of Phasma, not as much as how she was utilized in the film, so that's what changes the tides for me. Chirrut! Come back! I love Chirrut so much. Gave me some of the biggest laughs I've had in a theater, let alone a Star Wars movie. Definitely better than Baze, I think. A lot more lines. Insanely quotable. I love him so much. And for me, as a half Asian guy myself, I just found it so refreshing to see an Asian actor in Star Wars. And I love the fact that the actor, unfortunately I don't have his name on my tabs or anything, but I love that he did this part just for his family, just for the kids, and to make them happy, and I think he succeeded tenfold, and I love him all the more for it. And you know what? I think I'm going to put him above Andor, above Chewie, above Phasma, above 3PO's tough. That's a tough one. I'll put him above 3PO. I think that's reasonable, because then I gotta remember Ahsoka's last 4 episodes in Clone Wars, and those were really where I appreciated her a lot, and that destroyed, like, nostalgia being the only support. Like, that's when things really came to a head for me, so I gotta remember that. She's been through a lot. Great character. Chopper. I watched Rebels through once. I didn't love the show as much as I was hoping. Again, I need to rewatch it, but I do remember I loved the second half a lot more than the first half, which was very fluffy. I think it was 4 seasons. First 2 seasons, didn't care much. Last 2, cared a little more. As for Chopper, he's a cool droid. I know there's like a cult following, there's like a cult of Chopper. People friggin' love Chopper, and he's basically R2-D2 without a moral compass. He will slaughter anyone in the name of the rebellion, and it's pretty hysterical. But personally, I don't have a whole ton of personal connection to him, except that he does embody one of the things I do love about Rebels, which is he is directly inspired by the Ralph McQuarrie artwork, which I seriously love. So you know what? I definitely like him more than Bib Fortuna. Ooh, Battle of the Droids. Uh-oh. I like Chopper more than BB-8, I'd say. Yeah, seems right. More than Ayla. More than Kara. More than Rex. And we'll stop here at Barriss because she's so crucial to the plot. Again, things get pretty mid in C range. That's pretty much the place to describe it. Cody. Again, for me, I've said this before stupidly in previous podcasts, the clones feel too similar to me. I know they're similar because they're friggin' clones. That's the point. But in terms of characterization, I feel like there's just not enough variance. But I guess I do like the fact that Cody does a better job embodying the Legends clone troopers, where he just turns on a dime. And you see that in Revenge of the Sith. So for that reason alone, I'll put him besides Rex. I don't know where. I'll put him above Rex, just personally. I think of Cody more than I think of Rex. That's the best way to put it. Dooku, Christopher Lee. Anytime Christopher Lee is playing any role, I automatically fall in love with that role. Like, even if I don't love the character as much. I've come to appreciate Dooku more, especially with Tales of the Jedi. I think that show is invaluable. I think they need to keep pumping more into that. It fills in so many gaps in so little time. It does such a great job. After seeing that, and then reflecting on the films and all that, I have come to like him a little bit more. Definitely more than Asajj. He's definitely not in D tier. More than Chopper. I could say that he's as important to Star Wars as Barriss to an extent. Like, they got the same, they're both Jedi gone bad, right? So, but he's definitely the Jedi gone bad. That's not Anakin, right? And I'm sure there's more examples of that. Ooh, this list is getting big. We'll scroll around as we need to. I'll compress this whole screen. I'm seeing more than you're seeing right now. You're not seeing the address bar at the top or nothing. Darth Maul, I know he's a huge fan favorite. The only time I really ever cared about him was in the last 4 episodes of Clone Wars, I'll be honest. I think he was an excellent moral compass for Ahsoka. And I said this about Kylo and Rey. I'm going to say this again for Ahsoka and Maul. Ahsoka should have taken Maul's hand. Like, not necessarily just become straight up a villain, but just having a light-sider and a dark-sider who are not Jedi or Sith anymore function together as a unit. And do what? Who knows? But that's the exciting thing. Like, there's been too many Star Wars moments of, like, a bad guy extending a hand to a good character, and then the good character ultimately being morally upright. And I'm getting so bored of that. They need to change. Like, if you want to change Star Wars, change that trope, please. Like, for once, let the light-sider take the dark-sider's hand. And just see what happens. That would be excellent for Star Wars, and we've kind of seen that in non-movie territory, so there are examples of that. But yeah, for Maul, like, obviously he's super overhyped for Phantom Menace. He was the merchandise. I mean, he was the thing, but in the movie, aside from the Duel of the Fates, there was nothing about him really. And for me personally, he doesn't do a whole ton. But I do love him a lot in those 4 episodes of Clone Wars, which, again, as I said, are pretty much their own movie. So, alright. So how do I put him with Dooku? I like that he lends to the ambiguity. I mean, kind of Barriss, Dooku, and Maul, they lend to that ambiguity, right? It definitely put him above you know what? I'm going to move Babu. I'm sorry. We're going to come back to him. I'll put him above these 2... Rogue One, I was going to say Survivors, that's not accurate, but yeah, high C tier, just based on those 4 episodes. But in terms of quantity and his usage, especially in Solo, that was really dumb. I didn't like that at all. It was too MCU for my taste. But yeah, high C, that's the best I could do for him though. Babu, higher than BB-8, higher than Kara, higher than these folks, higher than you. Alright, we're gonna put Babu below Barriss, I think. I think about Babu more. I don't know, man. It doesn't matter. This is just for fun, okay? Like, he's just a running joke. He shouldn't survive just because he's a running joke, right? So, alright. We're just gonna leave him there. That's fine. Yeah, Vader. Need I say more? Yeah, over Bosk. Chosen One. He is the Chosen One. He's the origin of the term. I mean, it's like being a philosophy major who studied countless religions and stuff like that. The Chosen One is not exclusive to Star Wars. It is an ancient concept. Like, it's been discussed in Campbell's Hero of a Thousand Faces, which directly influenced George Lucas to create Star Wars. And Vader is everything. He's greater than Anakin for sure. He embodies the consequence of everything that Anakin was trying to be. And then Palpatine forced him into becoming this Vader. And a lot of that was Anakin's fault at the same time. So there's no topping Vader. No one's going to top him. No one's going to disagree with that. You can't. He is Star Wars. He is the point of Star Wars. It was never his trilogy. George Lucas said that from the very beginning. It's all about Vader. He's the point. now we move on to Krennic, and looking at this picture, I find it amusing. I'm pretty sure that's a Hot Toys figure of him. That's not a picture from the film, I'm pretty sure. Like, I see that a lot. Like, when people are talking about characters, they do pictures of, like, the Hot Toys figures, I think unknowingly, just because those figures are so accurate. But regardless, I love his character. Again, I discuss his anti-arc. He gets destroyed by his own ambition, ultimately. He's great. I love him a lot. I have a best friend who loves and dies by Krennic. She adores him, but yeah, he's a great character. I definitely like more. I on instinct appreciate him more than Maul. Like him more than Cassian. Not more than Chewie though. Okay, yeah, that seems right. F tier. No. Bantha Poodoo. We got another one of the Last Jedi Trinity. We got DJ. DJ. Stupid name. I hate the character. I don't like Benicio del Toro, honestly. I don't prefer him as an actor. The character was just a side quest, and he wasn't even the side quest. He was a side quest to a side quest. Find the man with the flower pin thing. They see him for like a minute. Not even a minute, like a second. Then you run to this guy, and then he betrays them. He just walks away, and that's it. Again, another stupid character they expect us to care about, and then we don't care about him anyways. And then when he does turn face, we're not even that surprised. So you know what? I hated this character, but I do hate on Holdo a lot more, I think, because she was more present, and they expected us to care more about her than him. Holdo maneuver my ass. It was visually cool. I don't care about her just because she did a cool thing. That's not enough. Dryden Voss, he's a fun. Is he even that fun? He's cool. I like the Solo movie, but he's not one of those components as to why I like that movie. I don't think about him at all, but I like Lego Star Wars. I like Lego Star Wars' version of Boss Nass, so I'll put him below Boss Nass, I guess. Echo. Speaking of Echo, how many times he's repeated throughout Star Wars continuity. He was in that prison escape arc with a character who is upcoming in this list, Even Peel, right? He was sent to save him, and he didn't make it out. Then he was saved by the Bad Batch and ultimately became part of the Bad Batch. And from there on out, he had absolutely nothing to do. So again, I don't hate this character. I was just bored by him. But I do like his Black Series action figure, so you know what? I'll put him above Dryden Voss. That's fine. Embo's awesome. I love him. I hope he comes back in live action in some way. Again, underrated bounty hunter. For those of you who don't know him, Captain America meets Boba Fett. Basically, is what's going on here. He uses his hat as a sled. He uses it as a frisbee. He's also got a crossbow. He also has a space dog. He's a really cool character. Sparingly used and in the right capacity, I think. They don't overuse him. They don't talk about him too much. And I like how he switches sides based on wherever the money's going. Kind of like Cad Bane. Well, Cad Bane's never on the right side, but Embo's a lot of fun. I remember as kind of in an Embo phase in college, but yeah, he's a lot of fun. But I haven't really thought a ton about him lately, so he's probably going to be in C tier. I'd put him above Barriss, but not above Dooku. That seems right. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Alright, so we have two Palpatines. So basically we have prequel Palpatine, then we have OT Palpatine. So, alright, so that's how this is going to function. We have different versions of certain characters. The Emperor is a much more scary and malevolent force than just Senator Palpatine, eventually Emperor Palpatine. Then we have Darth Sidious here. Yeah, so he's going to be in an A tier, but I think the prequel version of him is better, just because we get to see his rise and the duality between his facade and the true monster lying underneath. Quite literally, like after he gets electrocuted, and for those of you who don't know, when his lightning fingers were redirected at him from Mace, and his face got all screwed up, that wasn't him actually being, quote, scarred and deformed. That's how he looked. He used dark alchemy in order to preserve his youth and to make him look like a charming and well-meaning politician. And as we all know, there's no such thing as that. So, just an interesting fun fact. Enfys Nest. I adore Enfys Nest. She was so underutilized. Very underrated character. I really want to see her again. But unfortunately, she's stuck in the quagmire that is the Solo movie, which is widely ignored or just not known about, which is really unfortunate. But I really want more from her. I'm going to put her in Lobi. Oh, did I say her? Oops, spoiler. The gender reveal thing is really stupid. But anyways, moving on, we have Even Peel. He's only cool in that one episode, I guess. Kind of an echo. He's kind of not here nor there for me. I like his design. I think as a kid I remember him in Phantom Menace and just seeing him as a goofier looking version of Yoda. So I guess aesthetically, he's a D tier. Alright, sure. Ezra Bridger, I remember liking him a lot, but I hated the fact that he turned to the dark side at the end of season 2, which was great. But then he turned to the light side in 2 episodes later, so that kind of sank the character for me. And then there was a little space whale thing, and he disappeared. I mean, obviously he's going to come back, so my opinion on him could radically change, but yeah, I don't care about him that much. But I do prefer him more than Even Peel. I definitely prefer him more than Asajj. Bib Fortuna. Bib Fortuna gives me a laugh, though. Maybe ahead of BB-8? No. I don't know anymore, man. I'll just put him... Alright, low C because I don't think about him as much. Finn. Force Awakens Finn is an excellent character, and one of the best characters in the entire sequel era. But shamefully underused in the movies afterwards, which really sucks. But, for me, whenever I think of Finn, I'm forced to just imagine The Force Awakens as his legacy. That's how I like to remember him. And he's a great character. I love John Boyega. He was not given a fair shake. I think that was not fair at all. I appreciate the character a lot, but certainly not enough was done with him. I will go ahead and... What am I going to give you, man? Not as high as Enfys Nest. Not as high as Maul. I like Embo a lot. Alright, between Embo and Barriss, that seems cool. Alright. Another clone, again, they all look alike to me. I'm sorry, I don't know which one this is. This might be Fives, I don't know. Simply because I can't recognize him, I'll just drop him an F. But he's not pissing me off, so he's not going to be Bantha Poodoo. So, then we have Garazeb Zeb Aurelios. You gotta love that name. I think an action figure just fell in the other side of the room. Oh well, I'll figure that out later. But, I do sympathize with him more. Well, first of all, Macquarie artwork inspired. This is the original design for Chewie, wouldn't you know it? Well, loosely inspired. The original design is really out there. But I did like him more than Ezra, I think. Just because, we have the Order 66 theme where he's kind of the last of his breed. Most of his species was exterminated by the Imperials post-66, I guess you could say, during the Dark Times. And he did have a cameo in The Mandalorian, which is kind of cool. So now he fights for the New Republic, which is pretty cool. But yeah, just on that fact alone, just gonna drop him right on top of Ezra. That seems about right. Grievous. There's a lot of iterations of this character, which makes him all the more difficult to place. But he's not a great character, but he is a lot of fun. He's very kooky, he's very outlandish. The Legends version is absolutely superior over the canon version. He was a very honorable and respected warrior of Kali. He was a Kalish alien. And then I think the Jedi had a beef with his own species, and basically Dooku saw his prowess and he wanted him to join the CIS, and Grievous, who was not named Grievous at the time, he refused. So basically Dooku orchestrated this non-lethal explosion aboard Grievous's ship, so he re-engineered him to become his own servant, pretty much, his own lackey. And that tragedy makes his character so much better. But again, that story we don't see, we just hear about it, and that's not enough, which is really unfortunate. But he definitely resonates with me more than Aurra Sing, and more than 3PO, more than Chirrut, I'd say more than Ahsoka. Would I put him in A tier, though? I want to put him in A tier, so we'll have a top B tier over here. That seems correct. Hux, a lot better in Force Awakens. That goes for a lot of sequel era characters. And the next movie is totally wasted. Good for comedic relief. At times, it's hit or miss. But though I love the actor, I think he's great. He's fantastic. Why is his name escaping me? I apologize. If I gave it another minute, I'd recall. But for the sake of just moving along, right? Definitely higher than the Rebels gang. I'd say, what's this doing here? Get out of here. I know what's going on. Not as high as Embo, not as high as Finn, not as high as Barriss. Because he was really imposing. Not imposing enough. Not for long enough in Force Awakens, though. But, alright, I like him more than Chopper. Alright, we'll just go by that. Pride, I don't care. It's just bravado for him. Lego Star Wars always wins. Echo, I like his action figure. Dryden Voss, I have no thoughts about him. Although, I guess Pride's interesting in that I'd like to know more about him. For Dryden Voss, I don't really care. So, I'll put him in F tier, because it's solely expectations. The Gonk Droid! Probably the greatest running joke, quite literally running if you played the Lego Star Wars video game, where you unlock a cheat called Super Gonk. Well, it's called an extra, but for those who are not in the know-how, there's an extra or a cheat called Super Gonk that allows the slowest character in the game to become nigh invincible and the fastest speed of polygons you've ever seen in a video game. He's given me a lot of laughs throughout my life since I was a kid, and now it's, again, that's why this is a preference-based list. Man, he makes me happy. All right, you know what? Low B tier. How about that? That's good. Thrawn. Again, I had a Thrawn phase, but since then, I don't really care about him a ton. He's definitely superior in the Legends continuity. He was originally supposed to be more prominent after Return of the Jedi, but of course that was retconned in canon. Now he's more of a Rebels villain, and he's going to return as the prime antagonist in the Ahsoka show. So, I don't remember him as well, but I do appreciate how calculating of a villain he was. So he was really cool in that respect. I'd put him higher than Garazeb, higher than Dewana Wanga, higher than BB-8, higher than... Yeah, Rex is tough. Because I know Rex is a great character, I just don't love him as much as I wish I did. So, more than Cody, more than Chopper. I don't think about Hux as much, so I guess we'll... I mean, I think about Hux more than I think about Thrawn. I don't know why, it's just, that's where it is. Tarkin's awesome, though. That's an example of a great officer. I mean, he's the Imperial officer, right? And I love his character a lot more than Krennic, even though I know he screws him over completely, and he steals his achievement and whatever, but, yeah, more than a lot of the folks here. Maybe more than Grievous. Peter Cushing is a darling. There's so many great British actors in the Star Wars pantheon. It really is great. Let me think about this. And I'm also trying to think, we've hit an hour, like, am I going to break this up, or am I just going to keep going, because I don't know how many more do we have. Oh my god, but yeah. Not A tier. I'm putting them around Grievous. I really just love the idea of Tarkin so much. The idea... Well, Grievous is a lot more sympathetic, if you consider Legends continuity, but after that, no matter which continuity you fall in line with, he does kind of just become a joker, so I'll put Tarkin above him, actually, just because he is such a cold and calculating villain. Like, he's more scary than Grievous, easily, terrifying. Greedo's hilarious. We know why we love Greedo. Yeah, he's going to be above C tier in terms of how much I care about him. I love Rodians too. I love their design. I got one of those little plushy ones for like $5 at a Best Buy when I was getting this new computer. Fun fact. I put him above Phasma probably. Above Aura, above 3PO. I'd say not above Chirrut. I'd say I'd cut it there. That seems about right to me. Alright, cool. Again, preference. I know he just dies. That's what he's known for doing, dying. But I love the character. I think his design is great. He just really encapsulates a lot of the whimsy that Star Wars has to offer, I think. Greef Karga, better known as Apollo Creed. Love his performance. Love the actor, of course. But he doesn't do that much. I prefer him more than Kara. I prefer him more than Rex, Cody, Chopper. Where do I draw the line? Like, I'm trying to, like, scan up, and not as much as... I definitely prefer Finn more, Barriss more as a character. I like Babu a lot. So, I'd say the idea of Hux is stronger. Thrawn's better. Alright, so I guess we're going to drop in between Thrawn and Chopper. That seems about right.